Sunday. Okay, this is Tuesday now. Uh, some of the drawings I did after we did that live, the drawings that you see on the right-hand side were these quick drawings that I was doing, gesture drawings from the model. Now, as it went on during the day, I did a series of drawings, but each drawing I did, the whole point of the drawing was okay, I was talking about tone and construction and all of that, but I was also each one I was using different materials. So this was done using a water-soluble Caran d'Ache pencil, and I actually came back in and was putting some of the line work in here using silver point. Just as a means of adding a little bit of sharpness. I didn't go very far. I was just demonstrating to students how I take and do this. So all these drawings were done as demonstrations. Then, like you say, these were the gesture drawings that I did in the last stream. Now, here, in this drawing here I was working with a water-soluble graphite. Now remember, this is a stone paper I'm working on, which it has characteristics that are quite different from regular bond paper, something like that, because the water isn't absorbed; it sits on the surface, so it pushes around. So the water-soluble graphite, I do it in stages. Of course, I blocked it in, and very carefully. I was thinking of the gesture and the action, but I was putting a very subtle tone. Very few, I should say, putting very subtle lines so that I know that if I put too heavy a line, it's going to get too dark. So then I use the water to get a lot of the subtle tones that you're seeing in here and filling it in. Also able to take with the water, erase lines. Then I came back in and well, the paper was wet. Going back in with the graphite again and really pushing the darks. So I was coming in and trying to hit accents as I was going through the drawing, working with things. Okay, the next drawing is quite different. In that in this drawing, here I can move this up a little bit. In this drawing, I started out with a watercolor crayon. Now, I really like working with that because when I'm drawing with it, I can really push the tones around. And so I get a strong atmospheric quality. I can go back into it. And I went back into this. Now, most of the line that you see in here, that's all silver point. Since the stone paper really allows you to use silver point. So originally, that's why I started using the stone paper. So it's coming through, so you're taking and working with these. Now the other drawing here, this was taking and working with Carbothello. Okay, so, and it was pretty straight. Well, the tone on the paper in the back is a watercolor tone that I put down beforehand. In other words, you can see I have pages I take the time and do these. So these are all drawings I did during class, taking and demonstrating. And I was particularly focusing on what I was talking about was using the core, reflected light, cast shadow, but being able to describe the form. Of course, gesture is number one. So, give you an idea of my teaching. Now, this was really starting out loose with the crayon and really pushing it around. So you can see it has a totally different dynamics to it. And then coming back in and we're using really dark tones coming through and working on it. So I actually use a bit of Carbothello coming back in here because when the paper's wet and you use Carbothello in the water, It makes a very dark color. So I was building. And so then later on, I came in the next pose after, because these are all 20, 25-minute poses. Then I came through, and then this one I started out with a pen. Now, in working with the pen and water, I take and did the drawing, and then the water brush takes and gives the tone with the ink. And so then as I've done that, then I go back into it. It's sort of semi-dry. I go back into it, and I taking and using a simple sort of crosshatch approach. Here I was explaining to the students how to work with the crosshatch going over the surface of the form. So this is the way I work. Now, we ended up with a series of, these were 5-minute gesture drawings. These were 1-minute gesture drawings. So the way of working, now in the gesture drawings here, these were done with a pen, fountain pen, mine the Mickey Falcon. Okay, and then these are all done with carpenter's pencil. So I've been really mixing. I went through a whole series of different materials as I'm going through, which is what I do constantly. I really pet peeve of mine is that the students get stuck on one kind of pencil or one kind of pen. Experiment. There's no rules. Nobody says you have to work with a certain pencil. I did the same thing when I was working in the studios, doing layouts, doing story sketches. I used all kinds of materials. You get bored doing with one thing, so I would use many different things. And often the effects are way superior. Okay, so anyway, I'm leaving on the 6th for Belgium, and I'll be there for, I guess, 10 days. Then I'm going to Austria, so you can join me in Austria. I'll be teaching a figure drawing class and a head painting class, oil painting. And then I'll be in another school in Vienna, not in Vienna, but in Austria. And then from there, I'm going to be teaching at an animation studio in Stockholm. Plus, I'm going to be teaching some sketching classes on my own outside. So if you want to sign up for any of the classes, still room, go to the vilppuacademy.com. Take care.